everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. We got everybody here. Why are teams complaining about the tush push still?
Because they can't do it.
It's and realistically, the problem is that the Eagles are so good at it, and everybody else is not.
Sure.
The Eagles, it wasn't 92% this year. It was actually somewhere in the neighborhood of about 80%, because they were stopped a few times on it, and ultimately, other teams that have tried it have wound up at somewhere in the neighborhood of about 46%. That they, that the way that this is done, 100%, like there's a very specific way to do this, and that's all going to be very dependent on the center. The center is the one that's got to get the lowest to the ground. Whoever wins the battle of who gets lower wins. So if the center itself, and actually, it's not like an illegal formation.
No,
there's
nothing wrong with it.
It's a tight formation. And the only difference is that you would have normally a wide receiver or a tight end all the way in the back, and it becomes a victory formation. However, if you were going to do a quarterback sneak, you would actually do it very similar.
Yeah.
So even if they weren't
goal line, it's a goal line play. Like like there's nothing about it that should be banned. Right? Like, Sean McDermott, right? He comes out and he's like, "Oh yeah, player safety, whatever." It's not a high speed impact play. No. Like I said before we got on air, it's a rugby scrum, if nothing else. So it's just not. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
So Jamie, how do you know that? How do you know that, Jamie? Because how many times have you been in a tush push? So, that's what I'm talking about here. You have no idea. You have no clue whether it's it's safety, player safety. It's not player safety. The problem is that players are getting run over by the Eagles. That's the problem. That's what they're crying about. Boo-hoo, they are so much better at that play than we are.
Well, and it really is a rugby scrum. Like
it really is. There is nobody getting hurt. There's not been one injury, not one injury. Even when they said that they were going to fake it. Like the people, the defense guys were going to fake the injury.
And the only one
it is a QB sneak. Like I don't understand. And I'm not an Eagles fan. It's a QB sneak. Like there's nothing unique about it. You just happen to have the guy behind you pushing him. That's it.
And if you're going to ban this, so this goes back to what I said before. I'll let you talk, Dustin, first before I go.
Yeah, the only player that has gotten hurt this year on the tush push was Chris Jones during the Super Bowl, and he got hurt by his own guy. He didn't even get hurt by an offensive lineman or the quarterback. He went to try to get underneath the center, and his own guy kneed him in the back of the head.
Well, and that was because he lined up sideways.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, and Jamie, this right here might be the most ridiculous thing so far. I understand it's not rugby, but you understand that they do it without pads in rugby, right? Like it has to be relatively safe because they're doing it with no padding of any kind, no helmets.
So, and here's the difference.
They get hurt on.
And then here's the difference. If you were to stop this, if you were to cancel this play, and then you are no longer able to have so when there's a wide receiver who catches the ball and he kind of gets held up a little bit and the offensive linemen come and they start to push him forward, that actually is still a legal play. Typically, actually, and I'd be willing to check on that there have been numerous first downs that have been achieved because offensive linemen were pushing wide receivers towards the first down marker.
Running backs too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there have been numerous plays. You'd have to, the moment is, so if you're going to cancel the tush push, the moment somebody else touches that player, that play's got to be dead. It's got to stop dead right there, which means that now all of a sudden teams are going to be crying that they couldn't get their first down because the play had to be marked dead, and it gets put in the referee's hands.
It will essentially, if they ban this play, it will essentially take forward progress out of the game.
No, absolutely.
Forward progress is
Rob,
basically they let you kind of fight for that extra yards versus now if they take this play out, the moment that you're touched by like two guys, the play is dead. They won't even let you fight for forward progress anymore.
No, exactly. Well, and Rob, this is a little bit different in the way that you're talking about using another player to elevate to get up.
Right.
If you were going to compare apples to apples, it would be like pushing the lineman in front of you to get through the line. So that's where there's a distinct difference. Like you could do that actually. Like if you were a defensive player, you could absolutely push your own player to try and get through the line. What you can't do is use your own player to help elevate yourself up to block a kick. So that's where there's a distinct difference there. But yeah, I mean, get better, right? Or here's the thing, because the Green Bay Packers were like, oh yeah, it's almost a guaranteed first down if it's 3rd and 1. Okay, so be better at defense and make them be 3rd and 3, and they can't run it.
And yes, Jamie. So to go to your bottom question here, forward progress is allowed to continue during a live play. Like I said, when a receiver catches a ball and he gets held up, and it's like a one-on-one thing, and the defender's not trying to tackle him, he's trying to more strip the ball, and they're kind of held up a little bit, and you see the offensive lineman come behind him and start pushing, where everybody goes to the ball and they start pushing. Well, when that guy gets pushed past the line of script or the first down marker, wherever he goes down or wherever the play starts to go backwards. So when the defense comes and enough defenders come and start to move him backwards, I think if you move back 3 yards without a reestablishment, the play's over and it goes back. It goes back to that line of scrimmage. I believe that's the rule. It might even be 2 yards, just because they want to be able to stop the play as quickly as possible if things are moving in the wrong direction. But ultimately, it is a legal play. So they are able to move forward. So yes, in certain circumstances, you want to kind of do that. Like there's a thought process to that. Like on these screenplays, having guys behind the guy catching the screen to be able to kind of help push through. Sure. So you have your wall and then you have the guys behind kind of push through. So you can do that type of thing. The problem is that the Eagles do this when it only takes a yard to go.
Mm-hmm.
And we're good at getting that yard.
And funny
that's the thing is you just have to play better defense. If you keep giving them 3rd and 1, that's on you. That's not on them.
And the funny thing is the Packers are the team that basically came out and are saying they're trying to ban it. At least they were the team that was leaked. The Packers have a quarterback in Malik Willis that would be perfect for this play on offense.
I don't think Malik Willis has enough size to him. But McDermott coming out saying it is ridiculous because Josh Allen could absolutely crush this play.
Right. Every time.
Well, I mean, they did get stopped on how many 4th and shorts against Kansas City in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, just because they don't do it correctly doesn't mean they don't have the personnel.
Yeah, that's why he's crying about it, because they didn't do it correctly and it didn't work for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, so that's an execution issue. That's not a personnel issue. Like some of these teams, personnel-wise, they just can't do it.
Yeah,
right. Like you're not going to roll Matt Stafford out there because he will die in that play, right? Like he'll get hurt.
So same thing with Kansas City. Kansas City actually has somewhat of the offensive lineman to do that, but Patrick Mahomes could get hurt because he's not. His body is not. You never see Patrick Mahomes ever do a quarterback sneak.
No. I mean, like some guys just don't have the personnel, which whatever, right? But that would be like, that would be like saying, we're going to ban deep routes because my team doesn't have a 4-3 guy.
Right.
Like, what are we talking about right now? Just because you don't have the personnel doesn't mean it should be an illegal play. It means you need to figure out what your team does well.
Right.
So, I don't know. I like I said, I can't imagine on why it could, why they're trying to continue to ban it, but they can try all they want. It's not going to make a difference.
Nope, it won't.
No, I mean it would make you change so many different plays because of the elements that it embodies to be successful, right? I mean, I don't know. I think it's dumb. Just get better at defense. Simple as that. Don't give the Eagles 3rd and 1. Give them 3rd and 3. All of a sudden, you're not doing it. It's crazy.
Right, exactly, because they can't get 3 yards on this. I mean, they have on occasion, but they're not able to really get 3 yards on this.
No, by and large, it's 1.5 yards, right? Like it's 1.5 yards, maybe 2 yards. If you're 3rd and 3, you're running an actual play.
So, but anyways, it's back in it again, and they've already said this. I mean, he's already said it. The commissioner's already said on it's late night. They call it late night. That's it's not going to be banned. They're going to be able to keep it. And even Bo Allen was making a joke about it, and they're like, "Yeah, well, tough. You can't ban the play. It's not going to work out that way."
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't even make sense to.
No.
So.
Like it's a QB sneak. And, Jamie up a little further was like, how come it took him 50 years? Well, because they just ran it different. It's not that they couldn't have done it. They just didn't think about it. There's tons of plays that you see today that they never ran before. And it's just because someone didn't draw it up. Doesn't mean you couldn't do it.
Right.
And Tom, this is the 3rd time you said the same exact post. Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about me? You talking about Bo? You talking about Dustin?
All 3.
So the best
exactly.
part is,
I mean, it's the third time you've made the same exact post.
Well, and the best part about it is we don't care. Because you know what you're doing is you're tuning in. So thanks for that. Whether you like the show or not, you're still watching.
Hey, Jamie, I appreciate it. I would be awesome if your Dolphins were able to get into the mix here and change it up. I feel like the Dolphins going up against Buffalo would have probably been a really great game like it was a couple of years ago, in the snow, actually, that you guys, everybody didn't give you guys a chance at all. And you guys, without Tua, was able to make it a game.
Hey, Jamie, if you remember, you can direct snap to a running back if you want. Like as long as they're in a formation, like he can be as close as you want him to be.
And when you think about this in the opposite direction, so remember when the running backs would try to jump over the line and they would get clobbered there. Absolutely. There were a lot more injuries in that regard.
No question.
This play. So it's like those are the things that you can't go back to that because now you're concerned that you're going to lose your running back. So it's because I tell you, when you have a linebacker and a running back meeting up in the air, it's going to hurt both of them actually. I mean
because they're both full blast.
Right.
So it's weirdly it's a safer play than that. I don't think that's in the cards, man. Yeah, well, and so Jamie, when you think about it, that's all this play is it's a goal line play. Think of it as being, 4th and goal from the 1. That's essentially all it is. He's talking about himself. The best thing is I love haters for the reason that they waste so much time trying to be mad.
Yeah, listen, it's all the same as far as I'm concerned. Again, all right, I'm a dork. I'll take the blame.
I mean, and if he's talking about me, tell me something I don't know. I literally talk about sports. That's it.
Dork, you dork. Right. Thing is, he's really talking about Dustin.
Probably.
I mean, that makes sense.
I mean, exactly. I just sit in this white chair half the time. So what the hell?
Man, good stuff.
I tell you, it's funny that you mentioned Barkley there. I am interested to see how they use him moving forward. I feel that that's a possibility where he's going to actually take a little bit of a step backwards and not be used as frequently. Listen, 21 games. 21 games. They have played. I mean, he hasn't, but I mean, if you think about it, he played, what was it, 19 games 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
for the Giants. And then he only played 17 because they didn't make it to the playoffs. And then he played 21 games. So, I mean, there's a lot of football. 57 games is a lot of football.
Did he only play like 19 or 20 this year because he didn't play week 17?
Yeah, so 20.
Yeah,
20
well,
weeks.
and I thought he missed a couple games.
No, he
no.
missed a half.
Giants.
He missed a half earlier in the season with like
No, with the Giants, not with the Eagles.
No, the year the Giants made the playoffs, he played all 17.
No, I understand that. The following year.
Yeah, he may have missed like 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
So, but even still, like it was the ability to play 57 games. So, and that's a lot for a running back. It's a lot.
And not just play 57 games, but the workload that he endured doing those 57 games. Because look at the workload that he had with the Giants. Like, he was their offense in New York. Then he goes to Philly, and I think he had a bigger workload than what a lot of people thought he was going to have when he first got here. Like, they figured he was going to do well behind that offensive line, but I don't think a lot of people thought he would have as much of a worworkload as he did. So he
wasn't going to get hurt as much behind that offensive line.
But so to have the workload he's had though in 57 games, like, he's good. And even if he takes a step back, it's not going to be considered a down season. You just know that at some point he's going to have a little bit of a step back year because the workload might catch
13,000 yards would be considered a down season, as funny as that sounds.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that a 1,300 yard season is still very good for a running back. But but he's going to take a step back one of these seasons in terms of production because that workload is going to catch up to him at some point. It's not going to catch up to him where it's going to like injure him or something like that, but it's just going to be, you're going to see a situation where for like a 3-game stretch or even like a month stretch where you're going to be able to see like some of that fatigue setting in where he might not have that burst. He might not have like that elusiveness that he typically has because the workload's catching up to him a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know though, because with that offensive line, one of the biggest things that held him back in New York was the fact that his first contact was behind the line of scrimmage by a guy that's 6'5", 350 plus. Now he has an offensive line that has his first contact being a guy that's 6'2", 250.
Yeah,
or less.
Exactly.
Or you have that situation his last 3 games with the Giants of the 2023 season where 7 to 10 runs, the first initial contact was made by his own offensive lineman 3 yards in the backfield.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
That's just showed you how bad that offensive line was because they're getting pushed backwards. The first contact anyone makes is him bumping into his own offensive lineman.
Well, and that's why you see Seattle running backs get hurt all the time. Do you really think that they only draft fragile running backs? No, they just have an offensive line that's horrible. And so they're getting crushed by dudes that are significantly bigger than them. Yeah. If you're going head to head with guys that are similar sized, you're far more durable than a guy that's got 100 pounds on you. Mm-hmm. There's a reason there's weight classes in boxing and stuff.
No, there's not.
I mean, Garrett anywhere is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna see exactly what picks the Eagles have in this draft. So they have 7 picks in the draft, and like I want to.
So the Eagles pick 32, 64, 96. Those are their own picks. And then they have a 4th-round pick from Detroit, a 5th-round pick from Houston, a 5th-round pick from Washington, and then their own 5th-round pick.
Okay.
I don't think they have a 6th or a 7th.
Yeah, that'll change as the day goes or like as they go.
So, yeah, right now they have their own.
So, truth of the matter is that I don't think they have enough capital to be able to do that.
Unless they started digging into 2026 picks also.
Yeah, and I don't want to do that. I would much rather prefer I would trade a 1st, a 4th, and a 5th.
Yeah, I mean,
our 32nd pick in the draft.
Like
That's
what,
exactly
he
it.
would be nice, sure.
Well,
but
the
there's
thing
not a
is,
true need there.
I think it depends on what happens with Josh Sweat. If Josh Sweat ends up leaving somewhere in free agency, which it does look like that's going to happen because he's going to be the most sought after.
Absolutely, he's going. He's gone.
Yeah. So if you
And the
lose,
reason why I even know this is because he hired Drew Rosenhaus.
yeah. So
That's
if
why
you
you
lose,
hire Drew.
yeah, if you lose Josh Sweat, you're going to need to replace that production, which is where I think Myles Garrett fits in because they are going to need kind of that guy that can get after the quarterback like Josh Sweat did from the edge.
The thing that's funny is there are some good edge rushers in this draft, like some really good ones. So,
in fact, the Eagles are slated at 32 to pick the guy from Tennessee, who arguably should be in the top 10. But I don't know why, like what the story is on this guy and why the Eagles seem to find guys that should be much higher and don't get picked higher.
well, I think it has to do with how deep the class is for the trenches in general. Like,
Are you talking James Pierce?
What's that?
Are you talking James Pierce?
The guy from Tennessee?
Yeah, James Pierce, the edge rusher.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a bunch of guys in the trenches, offense and defense, in this draft. Like quarterback, weak. There's a few good tight ends. There's a few good receivers and stuff. But offensive and defensive line are big in this draft.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to get a good guy at the end of the first, into the second round.
Well, and the longer this trails on, the lower the value becomes on Myles Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes.
I mean, we already said that the Browns have said that they are not going to trade him, and that's what they have to say, because the moment they say, all right, he's on the market, then it ticks down a little bit. You may get a bidding war for him, and if you get a bidding war, that's a different scenario. But you can get a bidding war without saying that you're going to trade him.
Yeah.
So I feel like that they have to do this, that's part of the gamesmanship of saying that they're not trading him.
There are some good running backs.
And if I'm the Eagles, I'm not even going after that guy from Tennessee. I'm going after Mike Green from Marshall.
He's not going to make it.
He had 17 sacks last year with Marshall.
Yeah, but he's not going to make it down that far.
I think they have him projected at 22 to 24 right now. So the Eagles,
I think he's going to go. I think he's going to click up faster. He's at the combine, right?
He'll be at the combine. He's the one
and he's going to. Once they see actually how fast he is, that's going to be the difference. He's going to click up to about 15.
Yeah, he's
10
good.
to 15, I would think, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
I do think that the Eagles are going to trade out of the first round. The reason why I think that is because the only reason why you want that number 32 pick is because you want the extra year of eligibility for the contract. That's it. Yep. That's the only purpose for that pick specifically. The last time the Eagles were in this position, even at 31, where 31 was, I think the last pick in the draft because of something that happened. Somebody wound up. There was only 31 picks in that draft.
Yeah. Because Minnesota missed their pick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, okay then.
They didn't stick in. They were on the clock and then didn't get it in time.
They were on the clock. They never handed in the envelope, so they lost their first round pick.
That's so ridiculous.
Stupid.
And they're not the only ones that have done it. It's happened before too.
Like what you were just saying, how you want to pick in that first round to get that fifth year option. That's exactly what Minnesota did with Teddy Bridgewater. They picked number 12 in the first round that year, and they ended up with, I think, Xavier Rhodes that year with their pick at number 12. And then Teddy Bridgewater was supposed to go middle first round, and he fell into the 20s. Then he fell to number 25, and then he was still sitting there at 31. So Minnesota's like, we'll give you our second and third round pick to trade at the 32, and then they took Bridgewater at 32 just so they could get that fifth year option on him.
Right, and that's the only purpose on why you'd want to do that. That's why that pick becomes valuable, but it's not like you're not going to trade multiple first round picks for that. You're going to trade a second round pick, like an early round second round pick, somebody who is in the top 5 spots in the second round can make that trade and trade that and a 7th rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Howie is really good at acquiring picks during the draft.
He is.
He had 5 picks last year. I think he wound up making 9 choices, 9 players. So that's going to, that's something that he's really good at. And there are always going to be people available, for him. They're like, oh, you're going to trade. You want my pick? All right, I'll move back some because I think that we're still going to have our spot. It almost didn't work. They thought that the Rams were going to take Cooper DeJean.
Mm-hmm.
And the Rams traded up with the Saints, and they're like, yeah, that's it. It's over now. That sucks. And they didn't choose him. And he's like, oh, Carolina, get on the phone. Yeah, we're going to give you all our stuff, and then we're going to get Cooper DeJean. And they thought that the Rams were going to take him.
Yeah, and the Rams ended up taking Jared Verse, which, I mean, it worked out for them because he got Defensive Rookie of the Year, but...
And Jared Verse was a 2nd-round pick?
He was a first-round pick.
No, it's 2nd round.
Was he 2nd round? Oh, okay.
Yes, it's 39. Pick number 39, okay. The Rams traded up with the Saints to get that because the Eagles were trying to trade.
Who were the Rams taking the 1st round then instead of Cooper?
Well, no, it was Verse in the 1st round.
So
you just 2nd round. Who did they take in the 2nd round?
Yeah.
Pick 39. Who was number?
I think it was that other. I think it was that other linebacker they took in the 2nd round that was also really good. The one I can't remember the guy's name, but he ended up in the Rookie of the Year conversation at the end of the year also. So they had 2 good linebackers on the Rams this year that were both really good. Brandon Fisk out of Florida State, teammate of Jared Verse.
Got you.
Both of them were edge rushers at Florida State. Jared Verse stayed on the edge, and then they moved Brandon Fisk to more of like a standard middle linebacker. And he ended up being one of the better linebackers. I think he was ranked the 4th or 5th highest rated linebacker this year as a rookie.
There you go. So nice. Yeah, I mean, we almost had the Defensive Player of the Year as a linebacker. So I got to, I was actually very excited about that play. And then hopefully our other guy will be able to come back from the ACL. He had a really good season and then got hurt, which is a shame. But we'll see. It's such a weirdo play for him to tear his ACL on too. It was just, I thought it was when I saw it, I initially thought, I'm like, damn, that's he probably just got like a stinger or like a Charlie horse or something. Like
that's been happening a lot the last couple of years with ACL injuries. Like it's either a lot of the non-contact ACL injuries or it's a play where it doesn't even look like the knee is what actually got hurt. It looks like it's the ankle or something else. Then you find out the next day torn ACL.
Right. Yeah, that was the odd part about it there. That like, how did he get an ACL? Like from that, like it just didn't look like an ACL, and he walked off. But
well, I mean that's like the Achilles injuries. Like a ton of those have been. It seems like there's more of them than there used to be, and most of them been non-contact.
Yeah.
And you wonder if that's because of the way that they're doing some of the training now, that they are strengthening the other muscles and not taking into consideration like how do you strengthen your Achilles? Like how and why isn't that part of the routine now? Like it's that might be part of what's going on. And like I said, I'm not a trainer, so I can't speak intelligently for any of this. They may have those types of situations, but
I think when it comes to quarterbacks, and it could just be me just being stupid about it, but the NFL nowadays is such a pass-happy league now. So many quarterbacks now are dropping back 40, 50, sometimes 60 times a game where you're dropping back and doing your planting on your Achilles versus 10, 15 years ago, quarterback might throw 25, 30 passes, so you were still handing it off 30 times a game. So you have to wonder, the more dropbacks, the more times you're kind of bouncing up and down off that Achilles if it's starting to wear it down quicker than normal because now you're throwing the ball more now than you used to. Because if you're handing the ball off, you're not doing that standard dropback where you're like putting all your weight on the final drop step. You're handing it off and kind of in a running motion as you hand it off versus now 60 dropbacks a game where in your final step, you're just planting all the time.
Yeah, I mean, probably not. Usually it's when they're running. It's not usually during their throwing motion. that they've had.
No,
these
that's what I'm
issues.
saying. Though, but like the
But-
constant planting, you got to wonder if that's starting to wear the Achilles down. So then when you do run and you get hit, maybe it does have a tendency to tear quicker now because it's wearing down more.
I mean, it's probably more just some of the strength training without all the stretching. I mean, because at the end of the day, your tendons are rubber bands, right? So if you have muscles that are tight, it's already tugging on them, and then you have quick motion, right? So it'd be like just yanking a rubber band versus slowly expanding it, right? Like they can pop. So I think it's one of those where they probably need to do more stretch style exercises mixed in with all of the strength training. Because I mean,
if you need your strength trained,
yeah, that's right.
True Fusion
might
Gym.
as well. A great way to keep from injury is Pilates. In fact, there's a lot of football players that do Pilates. True Fusion Gym right here in the Pacific Northwest, whether it's Bellevue, Ballard, University Village, use the QR code on the screen. Free 5-day pass at any of the 3 locations. And, try not to get hurt in those pickup games. Also, if you are interested in sports betting, you can do it right alongside us here on Coast to Coast using the QR code on the screen. Bet US up to 125% of your first 3 deposits, 10% bet guarantee if you happen to have placed a bet on Shador throwing this weekend. So you could take advantage of getting some of your money back. Good stuff.
Yeah. So
Little Giants. I watched Draft Day yesterday. I was working on a section of my fence, and then it started pouring rain, and I was no longer interested.
and isn't that so absolutely ridiculous? Like, that movie is so ridiculous. Like, I understand that they the reason why that they chose the Browns is because it's this was fairy tale. This was a fairy tale movie.
Yes.
Because
Still love the movie though.
No, it's a great movie. It's not realistic, but it's a great movie.
Yeah,
but how many movies are realistic?
We're going to trade our first 3 draft picks to try to get one guy, and then
We're
going to get those same 3 draft picks back.
Yeah, I mean, that second part would never happen. The first part, the Browns would do.
The first part the Browns would do.
Part of it, you watch it and you're like, yeah, it's the Browns. Like, probably.
It's the Browns, yeah.
But yeah, the second part, there's no way they would get them back.
Because if that happened, the GM that did that would be fired on the spot.
I mean, they didn't really lose anything. They still got the guy they wanted. But I mean, like, there's a scenario that it could work. The odds are incredibly low. But I mean, it could feasibly happen. You would have to have 2 really dysfunctional, like, it would have had to have been the Browns and the Jets.
I mean, well, Jaguars. I mean, I don't
know, probably because everybody should be fired.
When that movie was made, though, the Jaguars are pretty dysfunctional themselves. So I guess.
Yeah, I like that you say that in past tense.
Well, because that movie was made like right before Doug Peterson got to Jacksonville. Like, he at least got the team on the right track for 2 years, but that was like kind of right when Urban Meyer was in Jacksonville and right when all that crap was going on when they really were dysfunctional.
No, it was before Urban Meyer.
Was it? Well, who was the coach in Jacksonville before Meyer? Was that Gus? Bradley?
Who was that?
Because Gus Bradley was a coach there before Urban Meyer, but I can't remember if there was somebody between Gus Bradley and Urban Meyer if it went right from Gus Bradley to Urban.
Yeah, they weren't as dysfunctional as you would think. Like, they weren't a great team, obviously, but
the other unrealistic part about that movie, though, was having a Wisconsin Badgers quarterback be the projected top pick in the draft, because Wisconsin Badgers do never have a good quarterback.
Right.
That was definitely the most unrealistic part of the movie, is having a Wisconsin Badger quarterback be the projected top pick. I'm like, never would happen.
Well, either way, he and then of course he dropped, which was
that's more accurate right there.
Yeah,
that's definitely more accurate.
Yeah, but all the same, entertaining movie. And I was like, well, timing wise, seemed like a good time to watch it. Getting close to the draft combine this weekend. It's like, okay. And it was pouring rain, and I was tired of getting rained on. So,
but yeah, I will be out in Pittsburgh tomorrow. Tomorrow, no show, just for everybody. We're going to do a rerun, just so that everybody knows, because I'm going to be traveling, and there's other
there's a
things
small
going on.
chance there's a show tomorrow, but
No, we'll if you want to do one, Bo, we can, because my roof got pushed back till next Tuesday.
oh, okay.
Because it's supposed to be raining and hailing and other stuff going on tomorrow, so the roofers do not want to work in hail, which I don't blame them.
All right, well, then I can do it on the road. Like I said, I'll just put my earbuds in and.
Yeah, they moved it to Tuesday because it's supposed to be like 53 and sunny next Tuesday. So I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I don't really want you guys working in hail on my roof either, because I don't need people getting hurt and falling.
I mean, there is that.
That's why they have insurance.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're getting a metal roof?
Nope. Metal shingles, but not like metal. Not they have a new brand of shingles now that are metal shingles. They're not like the actual like metal steel panel roofing. They lay down like a typical shingle, but it comes with a special underlayment, and the shingle itself is metal.
Okay.
This is like one of the 2 roofing companies in the United States that has this kind of a shingle. And it's like their own brand, so you can't just go to like a Lowe's or a Home Depot and find the shingle. Like if you want
it didn't sound like it. So
yeah, if you want the shingle, you have to go directly to this company that I have or the other company that's out of, I think, either California or Colorado. Because this company's out of Ohio, but they have like locations like 5 minutes from my house. It's called Erie Roofing, so they're right around the Lake Erie area.
I was assuming that. I figured it wasn't like they just do sketchy stuff.
Yeah, like a normal bundle of shingles covers roughly like 33 square feet for a normal bundle.
Okay.
The bundle of the metal shingles cover 50 square feet. So you're getting more coverage per bundle, and it's just like a bigger. It looks like a regular bundle of shingles because it has like the architectural pattern. It's just that it's made out of metal.
I mean, that's kind of cool.
So.
Right. I can concur this because it is a square. A bundle of shingles is supposed to be a square, and a square is 8 by 30 is 8 by 4. 4 foot by 8 foot.
Yeah, so whatever
32 square feet.
Yeah, and it's got lifetime warranty and everything. So if anything goes wrong, even if it's my fault, they come back and they replace it, and I don't know a thing. So
nice.
Oh my God,
how tough are they to walk on? I mean, not for nothing. Not that I can imagine you're walking.
I felt the shingle sample, obviously, because they have the sample boards with them when they come do like the estimates. I'm like, oh, it looked like a regular shingle, and then I felt it. I'm like, this is not like asphalt. It always like, no, it's a metal based shingle that does have asphalt in there, but it's mainly metal. And I'm like,
okay, so it's got some grip to it then.
It's got grip to it, yeah, but it's made out. It's made out of metal, and then they have like the granules on the outside of it are asphalt granules that go on top of the metal.
Got you.
Yeah, I mean, that's always my question because, here in the Northwest, we got some trees.
Yeah.
And so cleaning gutters is just part of life here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, even with gutter guards, it don't matter. It's still going to get in there.
But especially with, like for us, we have pine trees and evergreens. And so, the needles are small. So water tension can still get them in, even if you have gutter helmet or whatever.
Right.
So.
I understand completely. I've done all that type of work being a chimney guy.
Yep.
So, and that's immediately when I think of is like, you got to get up to the chimney. How tough is it going to be traversing a metal roof? I've traversed metal roofs before, and they're not simple. You know what I mean? It's like you have to have a good ridge hook and make sure that you have a ladder getting up there well enough and get on there properly. And I've done all those games before, and yeah, fun stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Nope. As a HVAC guy, same problem. Lots of time on roofs and not that much fun.
And the other thing is that in the summertime, when you're working on a roof, wear long jeans. Do not wear shorts. You will burn your ass.
There is no doubt. Yeah.
Either that or wear like long socks that go above your knees, because I know.
No, that socks aren't cutting it. The socks will pull. Socks will pull on the asphalt. Yeah, you ain't playing that game. You gotta Where
Well, and the thing that's funny, the way socks are made, you'll actually still burn through them.
yeah, they're light cotton. Like even through the jeans, sometimes you'll burn through it. Especially like because when it's 100 degrees or even 90 degrees normal on a roof, it's about 115.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
We have a guy that lives in our neighborhood that works for another roofing company, but they just do like really small jobs, like garages and like smaller jobs, not like actual houses. He puts roofs on with no shirt and shorts all summer.
As somebody who does it for a living, the problem is that he's dealing it with small roofs and probably dealing with a lot of wood. Wood is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you de-shingle, then you ain't got as much heat. The wood actually helps repel some of the heat, which is nice.
Hey, go Huskies.
It took me a second. Then I'm like, oh yeah, never mind. I know where that's coming from.
Yeah, go Huskies.
So, and like I said, I'll be with Troy starting on Wednesday. And
cool.
Thursday, we are going to the Flyers game on Thursday night. It'll be my first time attending a Flyers Penguins game in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
I was going to go to the game tonight just to kind of get it all started up, and I'm like, I don't feel like it.
That's fair.
So speaking of the Flyers, the other team that plays at the Wells Fargo Arena kind of looks like they quit on the NBA season when you watched them play the Bulls last night.
I tell you, it was funny. We turned that game on, and he goes, well, what should we bet? The bartender goes, what should we bet? I said, we should bet on how much the Sixers are going to lose by to the Bulls. 32 points.
Yeah.
They were down by 50 points at one point.
Yeah, it was 142 to 110. The funny thing was Joel Embiid was ruled out Monday morning because he went to the doctor for like knee pain or something. And then all of a sudden the Bulls are warming up, and Nikola Vucevic, who plays through anything, like he tried to play through COVID, he played with a broken hand for like 3 weeks before he missed the game, said he was dealing with a calf cramp. So they sat Nikola Vucevic out. And then at the last minute, they took Kobe White out of the starting lineup and put in Kevin Huerter. So they're like, oh, the tankathon is on. Like, what team is trying to tank harder? Well, apparently the Bulls actually know how to play when they're not playing their starters.
$2 tickets. How about that? Finally, some tickets that are affordable.
I mean, I like it. I like that they're dealing with this because I'm not a fan of the ownership group. And until they start to really recognize the fact that it's time for them to sell, I'm quietly boycotting still. I haven't gone to a game. I don't want to go to a game and start a sell the team chant because I have to imagine at that point they were going to ask me to leave.
I mean, yeah.
Which they
should.
Do you think Nick Nurse's job is safe, or do you think he will possibly just step away completely, just knowing that I don't think he expected to walk into this situation when he took this job? Because when he took the job last year, I think it was more so he took the job because he figured the team would be more competitive, or at least focus on being competitive as opposed to where they are now, because he kind of indicated yesterday that had he known that he would have been going into the situation, he would have taken the year off and looked for a different job as opposed to coming here. Yeah,
this is that sounds to me like I'm walking away.
Because he ran his final season in Toronto. This is pretty much what happened, where he had a 6 or 7 year run with Toronto where they were consistently making the playoffs. They were consistently competing for the Eastern Conference.
And he won a championship.
Yeah, he won a championship, and then they were still competing for the Eastern Conference Finals the next couple of years. But then the last 2 years in Toronto, you started to see the players aging, like Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, and some of these other players. Once they ended up leaving for free agency, then you saw Toronto blow things up. Nurse leaves. The Bates taking a year off, but then after Doc Rivers wasn't brought back, he's like, well, I can go to Philly. They got Maxey, they have Embiid, they have this piece. Makes the playoffs last year, but didn't really do much in the playoffs, and now he's kind of in that same situation where now it seems like Philadelphia is ready to blow it all up, and it's like a Toronto 2.0 for Nurse. So I think he probably wishes, he's like, I probably should have taken a year off and reassessed where I was going to go next.
Well, I mean, if I was him, I wouldn't want to stick around.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't want to stick around until you figure out what the heck you're going to do with Embiid. Because Embiid obviously doesn't want to be there anymore. I just don't think the Sixers can trade him at this point because of that. Not only the salary cap, but who's going to want him?
Somebody will take him.
Yeah,
Somebody will take him.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
that
it's been
you could
obvious
tell.
because
You
he was
could
there.
kind of tell that this is a I'm unhappy, so I ain't playing type situation.
Yeah.
That you get me, you're going to get a much happier guy.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see him get traded, depending on where our pick comes. Because right now,
You're
I mean,
predicted the pick right now, number 9 or number 8, something like that.
yeah, and I think that there's going to they'll wind up losing some more. Obviously, I think they're going to wind up picking like 4 or 5, just because of the way that, like I said, they quit. That was such a bad game to watch.
Last night was an indication that your team quit, and like I'm not a fan of tanking, no matter how bad of a situation any team is in, because I feel like it's a slap in the face to fans because they're spending their hard-earned money to go to these games. Ticket prices are ridiculous.
They're hard-earned true dollars. They're
Well, no,
hard-earned true dollars.
But in general, though, like ticket prices are ridiculous as it is. That it's getting harder and harder to afford going to games in person. So if you're going to go to a game in person to watch your team and you put forth an effort like the Sixers put up last night, or you put forth an effort that the Bulls have showed the last couple of weeks, where you can tell they're tanking. I've always hated tanking, but like last night was an indication that Philadelphia is like, yeah, we're just gonna punt on the rest of the season, and we'll just take our beating now and figure it out later.
Yeah, but I mean, basketball's been trash in that way anyway for years because of load management. So everybody, they may not be
Well, yeah,
tanking.
look,
They just be like,
basketball.
"Nah, I'm not playing today."
The worst sport, in my opinion, for tanking is baseball, because you can tell when a team is tanking come the trade deadline because they will literally just start dumping players for basically nothing, and it's like basically salary dumps. Like if your team is not necessarily out of the playoff picture yet, but if you're like 1 or 2 games under 500 at the deadline, but you're still 10 games out, you're going to start salary dumping players that might have multiple years left of team control. And that's why I always hated it. It's like, this is their definition of tanking. Like, you're being so stupid right now. Like, don't give up every single person that you have under contract just because you're not performing where you want to perform this year. Because then the last 60 games, the last 60 games at that point is basically just watching glorified minor league baseball. Where if you wanted to do that, you could go to a minor league baseball game for a fraction of the price and watch the same kind of talent.
I mean, I think that's not true. $2, you can.
That is one situation, but I'm just saying in general though, for like Major League Baseball, like you're still paying $130, $140 a ticket for cheap seats to watch teams put out a minor league lineup for basically 2 months when I can go to a minor league baseball game.
I don't know. Like some of these years that the M's have been bad, you've been able to get some, aftermarket $10 tickets.
See, I have an owner that doesn't do that. My owner will still charge $130 a ticket if he's putting a minor league product on the field.
No. The Mariners still charge that.
Mm-hmm.
But you can find the tickets.
Yeah, that's why. Like, if I'm going to watch minor league baseball, I'll pay $20 a ticket to go 20 minutes from my house to watch minor league talent instead of driving to Chicago to watch a minor league talent on the field.
Well, I mean, going to a minor league game is always kind of fun anyway.
It is. It's very fun.
So it's funny. The next game that the Sixers have at home is against the Warriors, and the cheapest seat right now is $88. That's going to drop because nobody's going to go see the Warriors. It's not as big a deal to go see them.
No, they'll just go to boo Jimmy Butler.
But actually, it's not important.
Nope.
Like they don't need to see Jimmy Butler go up against a team that doesn't have Embiid even playing.
Yeah.
The
next game is against the Trailblazers on the 3rd, which is Monday.
That'll be a $15 ticket game.
5.
Woo! Hey, if you want to go to a game, Pegs, there's your game right there. Go spend $5.
Nope, I'm not spending $5 at all. Like I not only am I not spending the $5, I want to see what it is for the.
That $5 is better spent downstairs in your living room buying a beer.
There you go. Floor seats right now. Let's go crazy. Let's go first row only. So we're gonna do first rows only. A first row seat right now South floor is $4,500. Nobody's going to get that. But row one, yeah, 2 tickets, $922, which is still a D, listed as a D on the aftermarket. Let's go first 3 rows. Let's see where that gets us. First 3 rows on the south floor, you can get there. Now this comes with like once you get this seat, you are getting like drinks and stuff like that. This is like a premium seat, $355, and it's still a D.
Yeah.
So
It's like the Chicago White Sox all over again. They were charging $150 for season tickets the rest of the season starting July 1st.
Oh man, and the Sox are in mid-season form already. I saw this great outfield missed catch hit him in the head.
I was against the Cubs last Saturday. It was amazing.
It was so good. I was just like, oh, okay, they're
The best part about it was the outfield is like calling up the center field. He's like, I got this. And he gets like to the track and you see him look up like, I don't know where the ball is. And
yeah, exactly. Remind me of that Jose Canseco home run.
Yeah, when the White Sox were in the midst of losing like their 22 games in a row or whatever they lost last year to break the record, from July 1st through the end of the season, if you wanted to buy like a partial season ticket package, they were charging $150 for a partial season ticket package. I'm like, I wouldn't care how bad my team is. I might actually take you up on that for $150 for the rest of the season.
Like how partial was that? Like half the season?
It was like 31 games.
Wow.
It's almost half the season, but because they were playing so bad and they were having such a hard time getting people to go to games, they basically said if you want to pay for the rest of the season, it's $150 a tick, like $150 for the last 31 games. I'm like, shit. I might have taken you up on that if I was a White Sox fan because hell, it's 30 games, basically $5 a game.
Right? I mean, that's not terrible.
You might make up for it in beer and food, but hey, $130 for 30 games, that ain't bad.
No, that's not bad. And I'm with you, Joe. Like it's so hard for me to justify some of the game prices. It's why I end up only going to, 1 or 2 hot games a year, because for my wife and myself to go and then you park and buy food and whatever, it's, you're a G into your day. Right. You can go hard somewhere for $1,000.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I think that and that's that with the Sixers. I could care less. I don't want to give him a dime, not a dime. Yeah. And I feel bad because actually basketball is actually looked at better in this city than hockey. And I'm a hockey fan. Like I'm and it's a shame that this is the product that they have to deal with. At least before, we were okay with tanking.
Mm-hmm.
This is now the product of the process failing.
Yeah, like you were okay with tanking when Brett Brown, whatever his name is, was there, right, because he basically said, we are going to tank for 5 years and we are going to accumulate as many top picks as we can. And then once we get to where we need to be, we're going to start winning. And as much as fans hated it, he's just like, you need to trust the process because this process worked in San Antonio, which he coached under Greg Popovich. And you saw the ultimate success that San Antonio had later on. That I think once you started to see like, oh yeah, the process does work. The only issue was the Sixers never achieved their goal of winning the championship. They didn't even make an NBA final, I don't think, at that point. So it's just like, well, the process got us to where we need to go, but we didn't achieve the goal. So now we got to blow everything up and try to redo the process.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but like the thinking behind it did work. I mean, because to your point, San Antonio, they won a finals like every other year.
Yeah, they won 5 championships in like an 8-year stretch once they basically went through that process, got Tim Duncan as their franchise piece ultimately to replace David Robinson when he left. Then you had Parker, Ginobili, and all those other pieces that you were drafting. Then you started signing the free agents to correspond with them.
Yeah.
Speaking of Popovich.
So this right here is the exact feeling we have for the Mariners. is you just can't trust them to actually put you in a position to win.
Right.
They put you in a position to keep going. They're competitive-ish. They can just never quite make anything happen. And so you consistently miss the playoffs by 1 to 5 games. Like that is the caliber team that you get. And you know that's what you're going to get. That's the worst part about it is they'll go on a run where they win 8-10 games in a row. And you're like, okay, here we go. Let me drink some Kool-Aid. And then they're like, yeah, but then we're going to forget how to play baseball for a month after the All-Star break. And then it's uphill all the way till you're mathematically out. And then they'll win the rest of the way and miss it by a game. Ridden this roller coaster so many times, and it's frustrating. So I get it.
Do you guys think that Greg?
Pirates.
Do you guys think that Greg Popovich is ever going to coach again?
No.
Why would he?
How old is he?
Like 71.
Oh, okay. I thought he was older than that. I thought he was late 70s. So I mean, maybe.
Well, because of his health issues, it just seems like he's just going downhill. Like he had a stroke early this season. Oh, he's 76, so he is older than I thought.
Yeah,
so
okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So no.
Yeah, he had a stroke, and he was only supposed to miss, like they said, 2 months initially, but then they said now he's going to wait until after the All-Star break, and now there was a report that came out, I think 3 days ago, that said he's not coaching the rest of this season, and his future of coaching is now in jeopardy because of his health. So I'm not going to be surprised at all to see him be done after this season, and then the Sixers' former head coach takes over.
But at least you stay warm there, Chris. Just right next to that dumpster fire.
Very much so.
That being said, that gets us to the end of the show. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our stuff to you. And of course, if you are watching on Roku TV, stay tuned for the next hour. Otherwise, we will probably see you tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody.
Later, guys.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National